AWS CloudFormation. Anything you do in AWS, you can probably do it with CloudFormation. Talking VPCs, EC2 instances, elastic load balancers, auto scaling groups. I feel like I'm just talking about the same EC2 resources, right? Just everything in the EC2 page. No, but you can do databases, you can do EFS file systems, you can do EBS backups. You can create lambdas with CloudFormation. You can create IAM roles, IAM users, S3 buckets. Um, you can create really anything with CloudFormation, right? As long as it's compatible and you can see, you find it in the documentation, right? But uh, within the last 2 years, AWS CloudFormation has helped a lot of the companies to be able to deploy the resources in the cloud, and it helps you to not just deploy it within your account, right? You can deploy it for multiple accounts, multiple regions, and then just delete those stacks as well. Uh, it helps with resilience, it helps with security, and it helps with scalability. So exactly what I was talking about, regions and different accounts, it helps you with that. As well as, for example, if you want to delete something, right? You go on the AWS console, you click, you create VPC, CC2s instances, etc. And you want to delete it. If you want to delete just the VPC, you can't. It won't just automatically delete everything. Why? Because, well, hey, it's a mistake. You don't want to delete the VPC. You just want to click no, like, no, I want to delete the VPC. But then now you have to delete the internet gateways, the NAT gateways, if you have any security groups, subnets, EC2 instances. Big, it's a big deal. And you'll probably be clicking 50, 60, 70 times before you finally can get rid of that VPC. But if you use CloudFormation, you just delete the stack, and that's it. That's all you do. So if you are interested in AWS CloudFormation, I'm gonna quickly do probably 4 or 5 minute overview. I'm trying to make these videos less than 10 minutes, so we can just quickly get as much information as we can, and then just I'll let you look at documentation, look at different sample templates, and just figure it out on your own, because that's the best way to learn, right? Okay, so here what we're gonna go over is creating a stack and some documentation that will probably help you kind of accelerate the process of learning CloudFormation, especially if you're trying to tackle an exam or if you're just trying to learn CloudFormation more in depth. So to create a stack, you have different options. You can do it from an S3 bucket. If you are a little bit more familiar on there, you just put the URL there, and if you have access to it and you can extract that template, then it will just deploy from there. You can also upload a template, right? If you're running VS Code and you have your template running there, you build it through there with extensions, you can deploy it that way. You can use a sample template, and you'll see a couple of options here that are available. We will be deploying the lamp stack. In this case, just for testing purposes, and you can also create a template in the designer. So let's go ahead and go there. Um, if you were more of a visual learner, I think this designer will help you a lot more than maybe just going through the templates, and it will help you kind of figure out what goes where in this case. As you can see here, we are deploying two resources. One is the security group, the other one is the EC2 instance, and there's obviously a link between these two. Okay, and that's how it's easy to see. Right, there's a link. This instance is probably part of that security group, or they're linked in a way, right? So this is the template. The template can be in JSON or YAML, and you can just go back between the two if needed. It will just transform it, whichever is best for you. I find YAML a little bit easier to read sometimes. So these are the parameters. These are things that you can put in as you run the template. You can also put in a default one, so it just selects that and calls it that instead of requesting for a parameter. Okay. There's also mappings, and we'll just go over that later. Then resources, right? Resources are exactly these. The EC2 instance is a resource, and the other resource is a web server security, or in this case, it's just the security group. As you can see, you guys, if you select that sample template, you can go in here and kind of take a look at all the properties of that resource. Okay, so we're gonna just minimize that, and we're gonna go and take a look at the security group. As you can see, right, this is gonna be the the name per se of the resource, and then below it you'll have a type, in this case a security group, and then every resource has properties. The property is going to be either the group description in this case or a security group ingress in this case, right? And you can see all the rules, and you'll see how to create this template, not through here, right? It'll be very difficult to kind of choose what goes where in this case, but that's when you'll see, you'll take a look at the documentation, okay? And in this case, you can go to the AWS CloudFormation documentation. You can take a look at either template references or actually let's go to template references, and you can see resource and property references. You go here and you can take a look at all the resources that are available in CloudFormation, and they have documentation. So for example, if you go to EC2 and let's see if we can find security group. Okay, so we find security group, and then you can see the JSON and the YAML of that specific resource. So you can see that the type, it has to go like this. It has to have the name here to specify what resource you're deploying, and the properties of that. As you can see, every property is going to be a little bit different. Some just take in a string, some take a list, for example, egress. And if you don't know what that entails, you can click here and it will take you to that section. Same as tags, right? Tag will have a key value option that you'll have to select. So for example, security group egress, right? We saw it in the template ingress, right? We saw like some type of list here. So we'll say the IPP protocol as the key, and then it seems like the value is below it, right? From port to port. Let's go here. We'll go to security group ingress. We'll click on the ingress, and it will take you here. Okay, and it will show you, hey, what kind of properties will go under here. And if you don't know what each property means or what it entails, you'll be able to read the documentation. Okay, and I think in future videos we'll go through some of the resources and go step by step on how to create it, but the documentation is there for you to see and to take a look. And yeah, okay, so and then you have the outputs. Okay, let's minimize the resources. Outputs are what the template at the end kind of push out or show you, and in this case you can see that it's going to be a URL, right, for the LAMP stack that we just created. Okay, and this is how you would create the URL, and this is step by step. You'll learn what this entails, what this means, what the gate attribute, how does that work, and how resources will be able to give back or reply, right, with an attribute that you specify here. Okay, so let's say, okay, well, let's validate the template. Template's valid, and let's go ahead and deploy it. Let's click on next, because in this case, right, we saw it in Designer. We're like, okay, we agree, we approve. I like the names, that's fine. And then we'll have to deploy it here. So in this case, we'll just do stack name test, LAMP, and then my database, that's fine. Remember, we saw in the parameters, we saw the option of the title, and it's the default option was my database. Well, this will be like this unless we change it, right? The password, we'll just do a password here and user. Okay, and then T2 small here, you know, if it's in your free account, try to make it T2 micro if possible, or even less, but I'm just gonna stick to T2 micro. Key name, you'll have to have an EC2 key pair already created. In this case I have some, so I'm just gonna do that. And a 6 location, that's fine. Next. You see these are the parameters that we input just a little bit ago. All the information, we selected the T2 micro, and we click on create stack. So as you create a stack, you'll see it update this events list, and you can refresh it as you prefer. Sometimes it refreshes on its own, but in here you'll see that it's created in progress. If there's an error or of some kind, you will see it here as well. If when you're trying to create a template, if it runs into an error, it'll very likely roll back, and it will just delete all the resources that it created. Okay, it can be due to a CloudFormation misconfiguration. There's something you're missing. It said string, but you put an integer, etc. Most of those errors, the template and designer will validate your template and make sure, hey, that's the wrong that's the wrong value for that key, for that property, for your resource. But if it doesn't do that, then you probably see a couple of issues here. Okay, so we can refresh. We can see the security was created, and it's gonna create the instance. Now, AWS CloudFormation on its own decides what order it's gonna do it with. So in this case, it needs to create a security group before it creates the instance. Okay, even though in the template we had instance at the top. Okay, and if you go to resources, you can see the list of resources that your CloudFormation template is deploying. In this case, we knew the security group was being deployed and that the instance was being deployed. Okay, those are going to be the resources. Remember the tabs that we had. Okay, and the parameters tab, right? We had that on the templates as well, and we saw that we input all of these as well. So, and you'll be able to see this in your list of stacks, in your list of templates that you deploy in your account. And then the outputs. Remember, from the resources, we were going to have a URL that took me to the public DNS name of that EC2 instance or that web server. So we go to outputs, we get the public DNS name of that web server instance. Okay, so we click on that. It's called website URL, like in the template said. Click on that, and we get to that page, the public DNS name of that EC2 instance. Okay, so we're just going to go back. We're going to take a look at the template, and you'll see that the template is here as well. Okay, so if you want to if you want to do any kind of updates, etc., you'll be able to go to the right hand side, and if you want to do an update, you can replace the current template. You can do it with another template, or you can just edit that template itself in the designer. So you're going back here, hey, look, I didn't like that it said website URL. I want to change a parameter. I want the instance to be something else. You'll go ahead and change the instance, and that's it. You'll go from there. So if you guys have any questions in regards to the stack, just let me know. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and delete the stack, and as you can see, the delete in progress will begin. And if you want to see kind of what's going on or how it's happening, you'll be able to just go through here, and you'll see the EC2 instance delete and then the security group delete as well. And that's it. You don't have to do anything else than that. You don't have to do 10-20 clicks on the AWS console. You don't have to go anywhere, and it's all done through CloudFormation, and that's the magic of it. So if you guys have any questions, anything else you want me to clarify, just let me know. I'm more than happy to make a video of it if needed. Thanks.